My name is Jordan Brown, and my part for the presentation was describing the topic and why we chose it. We chose this topic because of the modern day relevance in today's society, while also addressing the need for equality in the workplace. Religious discrimination involves treating a person, whether that be an applicant or employee, unfavorably because of his or her religious beliefs. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 made it unlawful to refuse employment to an individual based on that individual's race, color, religion, sex, or nation of origin.
Importance to healthcare in the human resources field. Religious discrimination is a problem that happens quite often in healthcare. According to the Religion in U.S. Workplace by Samuel Stryker, the healthcare sector has the largest percentage increase in religious discrimination complaints, which could be consistent with the growth of healthcare overall and its employment opportunities. As the demand for healthcare increases, it is only natural that more jobs within the industry are available. These positions can attract even candidates from different countries. The problem is those specific candidates run a high risk of facing discrimination. More than ever, America consists of a wide variety of people coming from different cultural backgrounds. As Stryker mentions, the United States enjoys a diversity of religion that is unparalleled in any developed country, and the practice of religion has become more acceptable in the workforce. With so many people in this country valuing religion, discrimination towards them cannot be tolerated. Human resources must offer everyone a fair opportunity. If religion is taken into account during the hiring process, the organization is severely limiting their chances of finding the best candidate for that position. Diversity is especially important in healthcare. Healthcare continues to change based on various trends. To keep up with these trends, innovation is needed. A diverse group of employees makes that process easier. Collaborating with those from different cultures or countries offers alternative perspectives and ideas that may not have been brought up otherwise. Diversity, more specifically in regards to religion, is important to employee availability. There are certain aspects of religion that can limit someone's availability at work. Some employees may take the day off because of a holiday, while others are praying during work hours. Unfortunately, healthcare is a field where people's lives are at stake and an emergency could happen at any time. A diverse group of people with different religions makes it easier to fill in for those who are obligated with their religion and are not available for work at that specific time. Employers are responsible to make accommodations for their employees. Stryker concludes employers should treat each reasonable request for religious accommodation legitimately and make an effort to address that employee's request. Employers are legally obligated to offer certain accommodations. These accommodations also contribute to employee satisfaction. Satisfied employees are more likely to work efficiently. If one's accommodations are not met, there may be conflict among organizations that can result in lawsuits or even resignation. Part of the various tasks of human resources include employee relations and compliance with the law, making discrimination of religion an important topic.
The pros of having a diversity of religions in an organization are great, but accommodating these pros requires change, especially within the healthcare management field. Religious discrimination usually occurs when the applicant or employee requires exceptions to organizational policy and procedure. The price of accommodating these exceptions can be seen in scheduling, operational capacity, cost, and safety. These aspects can coalesce under the umbrella concept of scientific management when we apply this to the healthcare management field. I will use examples to explain how these effects take form. So, as an overall, scheduling usually comes in the form of working around those who do not perform certain tasks, like, for example, a Jehovah's Witness church follower performing blood transfusions. In operational capacity, each employee has a different assortment of possible tasks that they can complete. And when we see cost cost is the accommodation of these religious needs. And last but not least, safety refers to things like not having a vaccine or having required facial hair, which then require certain measures. Here are some more specific examples to show what I mean. For example, if a follower of the Jehovah's Witnesses church were to be hired, avoiding discrimination would mean allowing them to not participate in blood transfusions. If a specialty clinic that this follower works at has a policy of only doing blood transfusions in the morning, then the employee in question cannot be scheduled for any morning hours. This means this also lowers the operational capacity, since this new hire does not fill all the spots that a traditional new hire would. An example of how safety comes into play is that employees who are not vaccinated or have religious facial hair may require personal protective equipment to perform tasks, which increases cost. Employees of different religions may increase organizational success by performing and improving outcomes by relating to patients of alike faiths. This would be an example of an increase in operational capacity with perhaps a lowering in cost when religious diversity is not discriminated against, which is our goal.
So now we're going to get into what is the impact on the healthcare manager and organization. So the First Amendment's protection of religious freedom, the Religious Restoration Act of 1993, and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act form the basis of most religious discrimination claims. Healthcare organizations are faced with an ever-changing struggle for power between employee and organization. After a request for a religious accommodation is put in by an employee, the employer must determine whether or not the request is reasonable and offer alternatives in which least inconvenience the employee and place the least burden on the organization. Public health organizations are more inclined to abide by these to prevent loss of federal funding. The EEOC serves as the mediator between employee and organization. The EEOC is going to be the one who's determining whether an accommodation exceeds a de minimis cost, which is a set cost where the employee is going to benefit X amount more than the organization is, and it's going to cost the organization more to actually keep the employee on board. So we're going to get into some examples now. An employee refusing to participate in abortions due to it being against the religion. The employer must then determine if the de minimis cost to move them to a new department or to move the responsibility to new employee is reasonable. If it's not, then they can terminate the employee. Another example is an employee refuses to get a flu shot due to the religion. The employer allows other sick employees to wear a mask who have not received their flu shot. Therefore, they must give the same liberty to someone who does it against their religious freedom. A pharmacist refuses to give birth control to patients as it is against the religion for out-of-marriage sex. If the cost de minimis of moving the responsibility to another employee is too great, the employee can be terminated for not meeting those legitimate expectations the employer has given to them.
Religious discrimination in today's world. So, clearly we are progressing as a global community. Religious discrimination is becoming less prominent everywhere you go. However, there are still people that do discriminate based off of religion or lack thereof. The greatest or the largest example would probably be from the 9/11 attacks. Muslims are now all seen as terrorists, even though they're not, and it's created a very lasting impact, which is not fair to them. However, as a community, everybody is becoming more open, more accepting, and religious discrimination is decreasing in today's world. In the workplace, it is definitely becoming less prominent based off of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It keeps or it stops employers from discriminating a person based off their religion, so it cannot affect hiring, firing, or any other activities that occur in the workplace due to someone's religion or lack thereof.
So in regards to religious discrimination in the future, there seems to be a significant learning gap when it comes to common knowledge with this sort of discrimination compared to other forms of discrimination in the workplace. In many workplace trainings, there seems to be more of an emphasis with racial, gender, and even sexual discrimination. There needs to be more of a concern in regards to religious discrimination trainings in general. It's not just religious employees that deal with discrimination, but also employees that don't affiliate with a religion or that are actually atheists. Nearly 6 out of 10 people that identify as either non-religious or atheist feel as if people look down on them in the workplace for their beliefs or lack thereof beliefs. Some companies are actually introducing trainings that instead of telling employees how to feel about religious differences, but rather introducing a training that promotes religious freedoms, which are much more constructive. With the healthcare sector having the largest percentage increase in religious discrimination, it is extremely important to make employees feel comfortable. In this day and age, there seems to be much more of an understanding when it comes to having differences. Accommodating employees for religious reasons seems to be much more prominent nowadays with all the rules and regulations that are in place. It takes everyone involved in an organization to allow differences and diversity to work in the workplace and make it better.